The Siege of Chittorgarh, a tale of valor and sacrifice. In the early 14th century, the majestic fort of Chittorgarh stood as a beacon of Rajput pride and strength. The Rajput rulers, known for their indomitable courage, had long protected their land from invaders. But in 1303, the mighty Sultan Alauddin Khilji of Delhi set his sights on the fort, eager to capture its treasures and to possess the beautiful Queen Padmini of Chittorgarh. As the Sultan's army gathered at the foot of the fort, the Rajputs, led by their valiant king, Rana Ratan Singh, prepared for the siege. The air was thick with tension. Alauddin's forces were vast, numbering in the tens of thousands, while the Rajputs could only muster a few thousand warriors. The fort's high walls, however, made it nearly impregnable, and the Rajputs were determined to defend it with their lives. Inside the fort, Rana Ratan Singh held a council with his generals and warriors. They knew they were vastly outnumbered, but their courage and resolve were unwavering. The Rajput code of honor demanded they fight to the death rather than surrender. As the sun began to set, the war drums beat, signaling the beginning of the siege. The sound echoed across the fort, stirring the hearts of the Rajputs. Meanwhile, in the palace, Queen Padmini, renowned for her beauty and wisdom, faced a dilemma of her own. She had heard whispers of Alauddin's obsession with her and knew what awaited her if the fort fell. To preserve the honor of herself and her people, she made a heartbreaking decision. If the fortress was lost, she would lead the women of Chittorgarh in an act of Jauhar, self-immolation by fire. The Rajput women, clad in bridal attire and adorned with jewels, gathered in the palace. With steely resolve, they prepared to follow their queen into the flames, a final act of defiance, to avoid dishonor at the hands of the invaders. The flames of the pyre would become a symbol of their honor, their ultimate sacrifice for their land and dignity. The siege continued for weeks, with Khilji's army relentlessly bombarding the fort's walls. Despite their fierce resistance, the Rajput warriors, exhausted and outnumbered, could not hold forever. The walls began to crack, and the invaders closed in. But before the final breach, Rana Ratan Singh made the noble decision to charge out with his warriors in a last glorious stand. With swords drawn and shields raised, the Rajput warriors gallantly charged towards Khilji's forces. The battle was fierce and desperate. The clash of steel, the cries of battle, and the thundering of hooves filled the air. Though the Rajputs fought valiantly, they were overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of Khilji's army. Rana Ratan Singh and his warriors perished in the battle, their bodies falling one by one, but their courage remained unmatched. Inside the fort, Queen Padmini and the women of Chittorgarh gathered around the great pyre. The flames flickered as the women took their final steps toward the fire. With unwavering resolve, they walked into the flames, leaving behind a legacy of honor and bravery. The fire consumed their bodies, but their spirits lived on in the hearts of the people of Chittorgarh. When Khilji finally breached the fort, he found it eerily silent. The city that had once been vibrant with life was now a graveyard of ash and ruin. His soldiers found no treasures, no women to capture, only the remnants of sacrifice. Alauddin Khilji had won the fort, but the victory was hollow. The Rajputs had fought to the death, and the women had chosen death over dishonor. The Siege of Chittorgarh remains one of the most poignant tales of valor and sacrifice in Indian history. It is a story of warriors who fought for honor, of women who chose fire over disgrace, and of a kingdom that stood resilient in the face of overwhelming odds. The spirit of Chittorgarh, though lost in battle, lives on in the hearts of those who remember the courage of the Rajputs and their ultimate sacrifice.